Welcome to that Groovy Scoobcast, your go-to audio hub for all things Scooby-Doo. Shannon, weren't you supposed to be in the quicksand already?
And ruin my outfit? Get serious.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another episode of that Groovy Scoobcast. My name's Derek.
And I'm Shannon.
And today we're going to be talking about an episode from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo titled Lights, Camera, Monster. I'm pretty happy to be returning to this series again.
I like it. It's the Saturday morning cartoon that we watched as kids. And
We are watching it on a Saturday morning.
there you go.
Yeah, just like old times. But before we delve into our review for this episode, we are going to kick off our weekly Mystery Machine match, our Scooby-Doo trivia competition, where we try to figure out which one of us knows Scooby-Doo better than the other. How are you feeling about it this week?
Hopefully confident.
Why is that?
I have weird questions, and I don't necessarily know if you're going to get them.
So you think I might lose?
I'm hoping.
Oh. Confident little bitch. As it currently stands right now, I am sitting with 12 points for the Mystery Machine match, and Shannon is sitting with 9. Let's see if she can get some kind of advantage this week. As always, Shannon, you can go first.
Where do Scooby-Doo and the gang spend an evening in the Phantom of the Country Music Hall? In the Opry or in Graceland?
I want to say the Opry.
Yes.
Was I right?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Here's your first question. What is the name of Scooby-Doo's southern-bred cousin?
Have we met him yet?
Not on our podcast, but
Okay,
you know him.
So then is it Scooby-Dum?
Yes, it is.
What singing group known for The Dogs Out has a song on the Scooby-Doo movie soundtrack? The Men at Work or Baha Men?
Baha Men?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was really hoping you weren't going to get those.
Here's the next question for you. What space agency does Velma hope to work for when she grows up?
NASA.
Yes, you are correct.
In the Rage backstage, Scooby and Shaggy find money hidden in what kind of case?
Was it a violin case?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I see that card real quick? That's really funny. The actual title of the episode is The Backstage Rage, not The Rage Backstage.
Weird.
The card's wrong. Interesting.
And this is like a legit Scooby thing.
Yeah. Okay, here's your last question. The ghost of Captain Pescado guards an undersea treasure in Scooby-Doo Where's the Blank? Clue or Crew?
Crew?
You are correct. It is Crew.
I thought it was going to ask me something harder, and I was like, I don't know that episode.
Well, it looks like all 3 of our questions for both sides were correct. Holy crap.
I'm getting stressed out. I'm like invested.
Are you? You actually feel like there's consequences now. Like,
I don't want to eat another hot dog taco.
well, finishing this week, I have 15 points and you have 12.
Okay.
So the gap didn't widen, so there's that.
Woo!
Yay! You ready to move on to our review for the week?
Of course.
Okay. Like we said before, today we're going to be reviewing the episode Lights, Camera, Monster from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Today's premise is coming from Scoobypedia. Freddy is filming his own movie at the local mall, but when the kids encounter a thief stealing from the stores dressed as a movie character, Stinkweed, the real actor hires them to prove his innocence.
But he's not innocent.
Spoiler. Yeah, the premise lies to you a little bit, but it is what it is.
It happens.
So the episode opens like it did last time we watched A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, where Shaggy is narrating. I just think it's strange that Shaggy, of all characters, is the one that's narrating.
Yeah.
For one, I don't really feel like the show needs introduction like that, but also, why Shaggy?
And he's narrating throughout the entire thing. Because well, I know he narrates at the end.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it happened.
Oh. I don't know. I mean, in general, though, I just don't think the series needs a narration.
No, it's weird. And I don't remember that from my childhood, so it was weird to see.
And I'm also wondering, like, if this is going to continue for the rest of this series. Like, is every episode like this? Because then that makes me ask the same question like I was thinking last week with the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Is Vincent Van Gogh going to be narrating every episode like he did last episode?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because he introduced and he, outroed that episode too.
Yeah. I don't know.
Weird. But anyway, he sets the scene. Basically, Fred is filming a movie. It's about a mall monster. The mall monster is, just terrorizing the patrons at the mall. They're going to the Coolsville Mall. I like the big signs and the flashy lights that were all outside the building.
Eat, buy, spend.
And it had a big American flag on top. Because that's what this country stands for.
We know
capitalism.
it's America.
When Shaggy mentions that they're going to be at the mall, Daphne says a comment, "The mall has all."
I wonder if that's their slogan.
I guess it's kind of creative.
Not really, but okay.
I noted that Fred called Daph sweetheart, and then he called Shaggy baby cakes.
Yeah, I did not like the way he spoke to them.
He was pretending to be like a director, like a really eccentric and enthusiastic director.
Well, and it's funny because later in the episode we meet a director.
That's exactly like the same.
Yeah.
The movie opens up, I guess, with Shaggy being a police officer, which I think is nice because his dad's a police officer.
Yeah.
And Daphne is, someone who I'm assuming got robbed. Something I noted about when they're filming this scene is that Shaggy is reading off of his script while they're filming.
They're not great actors.
They're not, but I like that Shaggy doesn't know his lines yet and they're already filming.
Yeah. I just like that it was something that consistently happened throughout the episode. Every time they had to act,
they're just bad actors.
They're bad actors. Like, oh no, it happened again.
They're really stilted in their conversation.
Yeah.
Fred told Scooby before they started filming that he needs to go get into his mall monster costume. So while they're filming, Fred calls in Scooby. It's time for the monster to appear. And this is when Stinkweed, the villain of the episode, appears. And Freddy doesn't really realize that, that's not Scooby. So he brings him in. He's like, "Oh my God, you look beautiful, blah, blah, blah."
Well, and because the monster that Freddy is trying to show in his movie is based off of Stinkweed, because we see in the National Exaggerator, Stinkweed is in, he's popular and well known.
I guess they're becoming a problem across the country.
Exactly. And so he does, so I could see where Fred would be like, oh.
But at the same time, Scooby's actual costume is a beat.
Yeah, it's just a beat on top of his head.
Was that provided by Fred? So wouldn't he know that?
Well, that was also my thing, because I could see where you could get confused, but then also you're the director, so don't you know what costume you picked out?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why are you?
I think they should have just thrown Scooby in a crappy
version of the Stinkweed costume. Yeah.
Because then Scooby comes out and he's like, "Oh, sorry, the zipper got stuck," and I'm like, "You only had to put something on top of your head. What zipper?"
Right. So when Scooby comes out wearing his costume, that's when the gang realizes that the monster Fred is talking to is, a real monster, and he attacks. They all panic, and they go into this elevator to escape him. And the elevator, has a glass door so they can watch everything he's doing while they're in it.
Which is really cool. I like elevators like that.
It's kind of like the one at the Somerset Mall.
Yeah. When they get in to call the elevator, all they have to do is press a blue button. And once they get in, there's an up button, a down button, and a stop button, which I thought was very simple. So Velma presses up, and they start going up. And then the monster presses the blue button down below. And the elevator stops going up and starts going back down. And I'm like, that would never happen. That is such a... that's not a good thing. That's how
it's not a nice design for elevators.
That's how elevators break.
No one is going anywhere.
No. The entire time, if you get in the elevator, it's a good chance you're not coming out, because people from the top and bottom are just going to be pressing the buttons, toggling you back and forth. Elevators don't work that way.
The monster then proceeds to start robbing the nearby stores in the mall. Shaggy and Daphne are a little concerned about it. They're like, "Oh no, this is horrible." And Fred's just eating it up. He's like, "This is fantastic.
This is going to be great for my movie."
Right. And then he also makes a comment that this is going to become his big shot at becoming a reporter.
Yeah.
Not a movie director or a movie maker, a reporter.
And that's what Daphne wants to be later in life.
It was strange, yeah.
I also wanted to ask, because, the monster goes after the kids, and then, Once Velma presses the stop button, he's like, "Oh, okay," and then, moves on with his life. What was he going to do? if the elevator came back down. What was he going to do if he caught them?
Right. I don't understand why he's really attacking the kids at all, because that's not what Vincent Thorne is really here to do. He's just kind of here to rob the stores and make his monster look bad, not to actually like harm anybody.
Yeah.
These people are constantly just out to harm people when they don't need to.
I'm just so confused. And then the whole thing is, he hires those exact kids.
Right, like he knows who they are now. They have a personal interest in solving this mystery now, aside from just the fact that they're mystery solvers.
Yeah.
They've personally been victimized by this monster. Stinkweed goes into a jewelry store and he smashes the glass counter and takes all the jewelry out of there. A mall security guard runs in to confront the monster, and he smells bad. That's, hence his name, Stinkweed. And the security guard just runs away. After he smells away the security guard, he goes into a pet store. My first instance was, is he going to puppy nap like Manny the Mauler from the last Pup Named Scooby-Doo episode? But he actually goes in to steal the cash register that's inside.
Okay, my thing here. Why? So you were in a jewelry store and you could have stolen the jewelry and that register.
That would have a lot more money in it.
But instead you leave that register, just steal a few jewels, and then run across the way over to the pet store and steal that register and then leave. Why?
And I can't imagine that pet store is doing very well. They apparently offer skunks as pets.
Well, I assume it's an exotic pet store or something.
But who is buying a skunk as a pet?
I could see them making some money, but who's going to Coolsville, Ohio to buy a skunk?
Cool people.
Go home.
I am home. We're doing this in my apartment. After he leaves the pet store, he goes into a plant shop.
Yeah.
And, the kids follow him into there once they get out of the elevator. But by this point, he's disappeared. I was curious where he went, but I guess he just must be hiding in the store. I don't know.
I mean, he does look like a plant, kind of. Like he's green, so he could blend in.
So he's just disguised somewhere in there.
But my thing is that FBI agent was already in the plant store, so wouldn't she have seen where he went?
I don't know. I don't understand why she was in the store to begin with.
She was in there just to be the red
Because we didn't see her chase him in either.
No, she was
so
just
she
there.
must have already been in there, but why?
Exactly.
But yeah, so the gang comes in. They try to find Stinkweed. He's nowhere to be found, so they leave.
Wait.
And that's when we see...
The man-eating plant. So the gang follows Stinkweed into the plant store to try and find him. And they can't find him, but they do find a man-eating plant that semi-resembles Audrey, too, from Little Shop of Horrors.
It eats Scooby. And then Scooby, I guess, gets pooped out at the other end.
It, digested him into the
pot?
The pot, and then he popped back up. But that was what I thought, because I was like, what happened in Little Shop of Horrors? Where did the people go? Did that happen also?
He comes out, and then he takes some paint, and then paints over the sign that says man-eating plant, and he writes puppy-eating plant. So at least he's being responsible and letting people know what it actually does.
I mean, it might eat men too, and in which case, I think that plant specifically needs to go to a pair of lesbians that don't like dogs.
But the gang regroups, and they
have to regroup so they can split up.
That's
Jared.
what Fred said. Yes. So they leave the plant store, and like we said, we see the FBI agent kind of pop up behind the counter. We don't talk to her, and the gang evidently didn't see her either.
No.
But,
they didn't see her, but then later on when, at the end of the episode when Fred was like, oh, I got everybody on tape, it showed her in the plant store.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, but they didn't see her there. We saw her there, but they didn't see her there. So it was very weird.
All right, then. So the gang is now sitting outside of the movie theater in the mall, and behind them there's a bunch of movie posters, and we paused so that we could actually read some of these movie poster titles. I noted one movie that's called The Monster Bad, and another movie that says Star Wars Part 37.
Which, of course, is a play on Star Wars.
Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Part 37.
Part 37. Which made me laugh because it's assuming that, like, Star Wars is going to go on to, 37 parts. And then, like, they did something like that. I think it was in one of the Back to the Future. And they had Jaws 27 because, like, they just kept making more Jaws. And, like, they just keep making more Star Wars.
And they're not in order either.
No. And so it's just like, oh my God.
But we also see a movie poster for Stinkweed, which the gang identifies. That's when Fred decides that maybe a better idea for his use of his camera would be to film their mystery-solving skills.
And this asshole fucking news reporter comes up and goes, "Oh, we're so sorry to interrupt a pup named Scooby-Doo, but Fred just had a good idea. This never happens."
Like, fuck you, dude.
Fred has good ideas all the time. Why are you a fucking asshole?
I think as a kid he didn't.
No, probably not, but still. Don't be fucking rude.
So the poster that they read about the Stinkweed movie, apparently in Stinkweed 10, the smell continues.
I want to know what the first 9 were called. That the 10th one is only "The Smell Continues." Because that seems like a title for the second one.
Right. But the poster does say that the actor who plays Stinkweed, Vincent Thorne, is going to be at the mall, I guess, answering questions or just doing interviews the following day.
Just meeting.
So they decide to come back the next day to meet him. They do so, and we see a bunch of audience members come out of the movie theater after having just seen Stinkweed 10. I overheard one of the audience members say that he was awarding this movie a 9+. I guess out of 10.
Oh.
Yeah, he says that was a 9+. What is your rating system?
Also, I really want to watch Stinkweed 10 now.
Because apparently it's a 9+.
It's good, and then I also, for that chase scene music.
We'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah. But then the woman that we saw in the plant store, the undercover FBI agent, she comes out and she approaches Vincent Thorne and tells him that was a interesting movie. Why were you watching the movie?
It's also just a nice way to be like, your movie sucked.
I guess so, but my thing is just like, why are you taking time out of your investigation to watch the movie?
Maybe she was hoping there'd be clues.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really in-depth mystery solving right there.
Yep. I have to watch all of the Stinkweeds.
So, my thing, okay, so like we've said, this woman is an FBI agent, and Vincent Thorne is Stinkweed. Is Vincent Thorne like just going around and stealing from other places too?
I think so.
Like, is he stealing from other stores across, like, other malls across the country?
I think so, because they were saying that, like, Stinkweed stealing from malls, because it made it into the National Exaggerator.
Yeah, but the National Exaggerator is not a credible source. We know this.
Well, no, but I mean, like, if it's national enough to, like, where other people would know, like, oh, Stinkweed is a suit, like, people are going to know the movies, obviously. I don't know. Because
we know that the National Exaggerator is not a credible source. It's like the
National Examiner.
Exactly. And it's also Freddie's uncle's newspaper, you know, and they talk about mole people and shit like that. Like, that's not a credible source.
No, it's not. No. And
but I think it's funny that in retrospect, because, you know, evidently Vincent Thorne is going around to other malls and stealing stuff and getting the FBI's attention and getting them involved, the National Exaggerator is actually right about something.
Yeah.
I like that when Scooby and the gang go to talk to Vincent Thorne, you know, because the FBI agent's standing right there. Scooby stands next to her, and then she looks at Scooby, and I didn't know how to spell this, but she made a sound at him.
I missed that.
I spelled it SCPIP.
What was the noise? Oh, yeah.
Like, she just spat at him or something. I'm just like, fuck you, lady.
Like, some dog comes up to you, you're just like...
And, like, you know, this is before we actually officially find out she's an FBI agent. But, you know, in that case, then she's supposed to be a red herring who just fucking hates dogs.
You know, I've always said that, though. The red herring is always just
some asshole.
Some actual person that's just an asshole.
Because she just, like, looks at Scooby and she's like, psst. I'm like, what the fuck?
Don't be fucking rude. Oh, so the gang runs up and they start to talk to Vincent. And Daphne, like, climbs on the table and, like, gets in his face. And when it cuts back, Fred is, like, holding onto her skirt. Not, like, inappropriately or anything, but almost just, like, holding her back so she won't, like, beat him up or something.
But it looks like he's holding it up, like, he's looking up her skirt in a way.
And, like, that goes on the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, it'll cut back. Like, every time it cuts back, he's holding her skirt. And then, like, it'll zoom into him, and he's standing perfectly normal, and he's talking, and then it'll zoom back out, and he's holding her skirt again. And I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, you're specifically drawing that.
Fred, get your hands off of Daphne's skirt.
Like, I'm just like, why? Why is he holding it? Like, I could see, like, pulling her down off the desk, like, being like, yo, Daphne, calm down a little bit. But, like, he's just holding it.
Yeah. They, at some point in the conversation, mention that they are detectives. And it catches Vincent Thorne's attention because he's like kind of about ready to cry to them about how everybody thinks that he's the Stinkweed monster that's actually attacking the malls, even though he's not. He's just the actor that plays him. And
even though he actually is.
But he's like about to break down to Scooby.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess he's a good actor.
Yeah.
I guess there's that. And Scooby's like, okay, calm down. Even Scooby is a little frazzled by this.
Even the dog is like, you're a little much right now.
Right. This is when he decides to hire them.
Why is Vincent hiring anyone to track him down?
Okay.
Especially kids.
Especially kids. And I just figure it's a ploy to, make him not look as suspicious.
But we said the same thing.
With Jonathan Johnson.
Yeah.
But I'm not as mad because with Jonathan Johnson's case in the Canine Caper...
Crusader?
I don't give a fuck what the title of it was. Whatever episode it was, when he came to the Fearless Detective Agency, they had no idea that anyone had been kidnapped or anything like that.
Yeah, the cops weren't even
He
in
just
on them.
directly approached them.
Yeah.
In this case, the Scooby-Doo Detective Agency, they're already on the trail of Stinkweed. They're already doing an investigation. It would actually be a little bit more tactical in this case for Vincent Thorne to, play along and cooperate, because otherwise he's just going to be another one of their suspects.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the episode, when they're going through their list of suspects, they don't have him on the list.
Yeah.
Reason being, he's the one that hired them. And at one point, he gets kidnapped by him.
Yep.
So it's actually pretty smart. I'm not mad about him being the villain and hiring them in this mystery. In the other episode with Jonathan Johnson, I am mad because Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy, they weren't doing anything.
And you know what? In which case, Scooby and Shaggy should have known it was Jonathan Johnson, because, bitch, you've already done this case.
Years before.
Yeah, like, if somebody hires you, they're still...
It's likely they're the villain.
Yeah.
But they start negotiating their prices because Fred says that they don't come cheap. They are 25 cents a day plus candy expenses.
I want to know how much their candy expenses are.
Like, right. Is it Shaggy and Scooby that's, like, eating away at this budget?
Right. And then Vincent says something along the lines of, like, if you can get the job done, I'll pay you $25 a day.
And they're all like, ooh, yay!
I mean, but do you remember, like, as a kid, $25 was, like, $100.
Basically.
So, like, they're like, oh, crap.
Right. And this is the first time that we're ever seeing them, like, negotiate prices or being paid.
Yeah.
For solving a mystery. But now I'm wondering, because Vincent was the villain, does he still have to pay them?
I'd ask for it.
I'd be like, hey, cough it up. I know you have the money.
You know what? It'd come down to, did they sign a contract? That's what it would come down to. Because if a contract was signed, I can ask for it in court.
And I doubt they did.
No, they're kids. They didn't.
But I just think it's funny that, like, it's never addressed again. No. Like, that was a plot point, too, was that they're being paid to do this by Vincent. And even though Vincent's the villain, like, they still don't get their money. They just wasted the last couple days on a mystery they're not being paid for.
I'm gonna say, like, because they helped and that FBI agent was, like, actually kind of nice, she might give them $25.
She was not nice.
She was one of the nicer FBI agents we've met.
No, she wasn't. I completely wholeheartedly disagree with you in that case. She fucking just yells at them for no reason. She spits at Scooby. No, I completely disagree with you.
Okay. So she, like, actually was like, I'm in the FBI. She was the only helpful FBI agent.
Okay, yes. Yes. Well, we'll save that for just a little bit when we actually talk about her becoming the FBI agent.
So a rival actor comes out who we find out is named Grady Lawrence.
He comes out of the theater, yeah.
He comes out of the theater. And basically it's just like, that movie sucked. I should have been Stinkweed.
He's apparently a jealous actor who follows Thorne around, because why?
I mean, he's not successful, so he has the time.
He has some kind of really exaggerated accent. What's he supposed to be?
What's Pepe Le Pew?
Is he French?
Yeah.
Is he supposed to be a French man?
I assume so. He sounds like Pepe.
Okay, well, I think that it was an awful accent either way, whatever it is. But he does have stuff to do that day, though. He's going for a filming of a commercial where he is Bucket O Nachos. He's wearing a big bucket costume, and it's covered in nachos, and he pours cheese on his head.
I will say, he's very proud to be a bucket of nachos.
Oh my god, yes. But, like, how are you even a contender to Vincent Thorne? Vincent Thorne is in a 10-movie-long horror franchise. Like, you're in a nacho commercial. You are not in the same league.
Like, I wonder if they started out together and then Vincent just keeps getting, like, they always go for the same role and Vincent always gets it.
Evidently, but, like, that's my thing, is that they're in completely different leagues, evidently.
At some point, Vincent passed you and you needed to just move on with your life.
You're stuck in the commercial world, dude. So he leaves, and he's leaving behind trails of nacho chips that Scooby and the gang follow. I'm assuming that it leads to a movie studio that's, like, near the mall, because they keep bouncing between the mall and this movie studio, which I don't think is in the mall.
No, I am assuming it's, like, somewhere close.
Yeah. Because it didn't take them long to get there.
No.
So they see Grady Lawrence. He's in the middle of filming this commercial. This, like...
400-pound man.
He's a director. And he's just like, oh, this is great. Yes, you're doing fantastic.
He goes, you're amazing. You're interesting. You're fired.
But why?
He wants somebody who doesn't talk so weird. Somebody like Vincent Thorne.
They also see... Why do they go into the motor?
So after he's like, you're fired, I want somebody like Vincent Thorne, Grady gets all pissed and he's like, screw this, and, like, he leaves. And so he goes into his dressing room, which is a motor home.
Yes.
I'm assuming he, like, went in there and left really quickly because the gang follows him right up to the door and, like, he's not in the motor home when they go in there.
Yeah, they're about to go in, and Fred suggests that they split up when they get inside. And then
Daphne
Daphne
goes, Fred, split up where? It's a mobile home. It's fucking rude.
It was quick, too. Like, she did not take a moment to think about it. No. She was really quick in responding to Fred about that.
And she always is, because even in the next part we're about to talk about, like, every time Fred says something...
She doesn't miss a beat.
No. Like, you can tell they spend days together because...
And she gets tired of it.
Because that's how you and I get when we, like... Later on today, when you say something, we'll snap back at each other real quick.
Basically. We've been doing it all day already.
Yeah.
So they go into the motorhome, and they're looking around, and Shaggy and Scooby, they look underneath Grady's bed. This is where they find the cash register that was stolen from the pet store earlier.
So Fred freaks out, and this is what we're also talking about, where Daphne snapped back real quick. Fred goes, it's the attack of the Bell people from Planet Ding Dong.
He's hearing the rings off of the cash register. And Daphne, without missing a beat, responds, no, Freddy, it's the cash register people from the Planet Pet Store.
So I thought that was great.
They, now suspect Grady as being Stinkweed because, hey, this is something that he stole just a little bit ago. And
then as they turn around to walk out of the mobile home, they see the FBI agent lady.
Why? Here's my question with that part. Why is she wearing the bucket costume?
I don't know. The only thing that I can think of is, like, maybe she's also investigating Grady. And so she was, like, going undercover and, like, being his stunt double. I don't really know. I don't know.
It was never explained.
No.
She's just suddenly in this Bucket O costume. it's not explained, and I'm just like, okay.
It was supposed to be just the fact that, like, she's also a suspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they go back to the mall, and Fred is playing with his camera as they're all walking down.
He's right behind Shaggy, and he's, like, zooming in the lens in and out from the camera, and he's saying, telephoto, zoom! And he, like, zooms in onto the back of Shaggy's head. I'm like, this is great cinema. I want to see this video when it's done.
I'm like, I want to see Shaggy's hair follicles.
The reason why they are coming back to the mall is because while they were in the motorhome, they received a call from Vincent saying that he thinks that he found a really important clue. So they come back and they see Vincent basically around the corner get snatched by a stinkweed.
Yeah.
They go to follow and they see stinkweed now covering up, like planting footprints with what looks like Grady's shoes.
Yeah.
How do they know that those were Grady's shoes?
I think he was just wearing them earlier.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
But they accidentally catch his attention because Scooby is allergic to the nearby cattail plants that are sticking out of the ground.
Which, I'm sorry, the only place I've ever seen cattails is on the side of highways and around swamps.
Why are you decorating your mall with cattails?
Yeah, they're not very, like, classy plants.
But at least now we know that Scooby's allergic to them.
Yep.
So there's a fun fact.
It's not your fun fact for the week, but
No,
it is a fun fact.
It is a fun fact. But when he sneezes, Stinkweed now sees them and starts chasing them. They run into a shoe store. It was called McShoes.
McShoe. It's called A Treat for Your Feet.
That's their slogan. I love it. And the gang put on a little charade where they're all angry customers that are being demanding. And they're just like, hey, this is the wrong size. And I want this in blue and blah, blah, blah.
I want red go-go boots and I want blue these. And this is the wrong size.
Stinkweed falls for it. And he brings out a bunch of boxes of shoes. And I noted that he handed Shaggy a box and says, here you go, ma'am. And then handed Daphne a box and says, here you go, sir.
I'm not going to lie, though. Like, I don't work for... I've never worked in shoe retail, but just working in retail in general, sometimes your brain just gets really mixed up and you're just like, here you go, ma'am, sir, person.
I worked at Tim Hortons for a year and a half. I did that on the drive-thru speaker all the fucking time. It's just something I know and I thought it was kind of silly. But I noted that Daphne also asked Stinkweed for a size 4 AAA.
Same.
What does that even mean?
It's women things.
Oh, is it?
No.
Yeah? I didn't think so.
She puts batteries in her shoes.
Oh, okay. They're battery powered.
Yeah.
She's a rich girl. I mean, she's got the fancy shit.
Yeah. She needs battery powered go-go boots.
This is when Shaggy and Scooby, they ask Stinkweed to fill up their balloons. Like, isn't this a shoe store?
Yeah.
That was kind of weird. But he does it. He takes their balloons and he puts it on the helium
And I
can.
think it was Shaggy just kept yelling, bigger! Bigger! More! And I was like, what the fuck? Like, leave him alone.
Remember last episode when we were talking about the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo when Flim Flam and Scooby were filling up the yellow balloons and Shaggy just looked super fucking concerned about the balloons? I think he was having a flashback to this scene because the balloons were yellow too.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just triggered by yellow balloons.
He's just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You'll float too.
So Stinkweed has the balloons and he accidentally lets them, or like loosens his grip on them and they start blowing the helium out and he like goes flying out the shoe store. He lands in this patch of plants outside the store. He disappears, but then the FBI agent comes out.
That confused me.
I was
so
confused
much.
too. Yeah, because she just always conveniently appears where he disappears.
Like, because in that sense, you're not very good at your job that you just keep missing him.
Like you didn't see him crash into these bushes that you were evidently also in?
Yeah.
Why were you in there?
Like, why were you hiding in the bushes? And did you not see the man?
That just landed in them.
And then nobody sees him, like, run away. We just totally lost our concern for the bad guy. Now we're concerned with who you are.
Right. Now the gang go to meet the FBI agent.
And they don't believe that she's in the FBI at first. And so they're like, well, who are you then? And she screams, I'm in the FBI.
No, that was the first time she stated the FBI.
It was just crazy.
The first time. My thing is, like, aren't you an undercover agent? Like, why are you shouting that you're in the FBI?
She might not be undercover, but, like, even so.
But then that defeats your idea of her being undercover in the bucket
Oh, yeah, that's
costume.
true. I don't know.
She's just a terrible FBI agent, in my opinion.
She's not great at what she does.
She's just yelling. It's like, I'm in the FBI, guys!
And, like, when she yells FBI, like, they make a point to make it echo.
Yeah. But then they also don't believe her, so she shows them her badge. Her name is Jane Thursday.
She's a special agent.
Yeah. And she's been suspecting Vincent Thorne as the villain, while the gang contradict her, thinking that it's actually Grady Lawrence.
And literally, they, like, are very rudely contradicting her. Like,
they have
were
an
like,
argument about it.
They're like, no, you're stupid.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I think it's nice that she actually does turn out to be correct, because in most cases with these FBI agents and undercover agents we see throughout the Scooby-Doo show, they're usually either having no impact on the story or they just don't do their jobs. At least in this case, like, she already has a suspect and she's actually, like, participating in her own investigation. She's not terrorizing the gang in any way.
No.
She's not, leading them on, like, she's not here to deal with the gang. Like, the kids are just kind of in her way, if anything.
Well, and when they contradict each other and they're sitting there and they, like, talk it out, they actually talk it out on, like, okay, well, here's why I think it's this person. Well, here's why I think it's this person. And then she goes, well, you make a good point. I'll go talk to my supervisors.
At the FBI! As she shouts again.
Yeah. But she makes a point to say, like, I'll go talk to my supervisors. Like she involves them in the case. Like, you make a good point on that. I'm going to go talk to my supervisor so we can, like, readjust what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And we don't see her until the end of the episode. But in that case, there's a reason we don't see her.
Yeah.
Because she's talking, she's with the FBI. She's dealing with that.
She is the most productive agent that we have seen in these episodes.
Rather than the agents, like, what was the Hawaiian episode?
Oh, the Tiki Scares No Fair.
Ah! With the Tiki Scare is no fair. And, like, the FBI agent was, like, hiding in the water and, like, yelled at them and then swam away. Or, like, was just hiding in a bush. Like, most of the time...
Or the creepy case of old Iron Face's FBI agent. Like, we see him twice. He does nothing. And then suddenly, oh, I work for the FBI. I've been on this case for months.
Like, not very well. So this one, like, at least she's doing her job. I hope she's getting paid well, at least more than the men.
I like that when Fred was making the case that Grady Lawrence was actually the villain, he stated that he's been hanging around with the mall zombies.
I didn't understand that at all.
Well, you know how he's always just crazy about monsters in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo? Like,
yeah.
He's always throwing out random ideas and accusations. I just think this is maybe something that he also read in the National Exaggerator. And my thing is just like, wow, these malls just have really serious problems.
Like, I don't want to go to the mall anymore.
Not in the Scooby-Doo universe, I don't. Now they're about to, continue their investigation. And Scooby now needs Scooby Snacks. Why did he need Scooby Snacks?
His watch told him that it was Scooby Snack O'Clock.
Oh, really? Is that what it was? So, Shaggy asks Fred if he brought the Scooby Snacks. And it turns out Fred didn't. And then he thought that Daphne brought them. But Daphne didn't either.
Well, okay, because I noted they actually take turns buying Scooby Snacks.
Evidently.
Because Fred goes, well, I thought Daphne brought them. And Daphne goes, no, I bought them last time. This time it was actually, and then Velma jumped up and went, Jinkies! And then they looked at, like, the Scooby Snack.
Yeah, they have a Scooby Snack Kiosk in the mall.
That has 99 flavors.
That's awesome.
That's a lot. And just as a kiosk, not as, like, a store.
Yeah, no, it's just a kiosk. And Scooby asks for a vanilla-flavored Scooby Snack, which sounds kind of tasty.
So, my thing is now, I want to do some research separately, and I want to find out all 99 flavors.
Oh, okay.
And I want to see if we can make them.
Oh, okay. They're supposed to taste like butterscotch, from what I've read.
Yeah, but if there's other flavors, let's try them.
Okay. After Scooby gets his Scooby Snack in his system, they go and they get confronted with Stinkweed again. This is when we get the chase scene for the episode, and there's the chase music. I like that before the chase scene actually begins, Shaggy, stops while everyone else is screaming, because I think Scooby ran into the music store.
He started
he was, hiding. And Shaggy calls to him. He's like, wait a minute, Scooby, where's the music? And then Scooby comes out with a boombox and he turns on the music and the chase scene commences.
So when Scooby turns the music on, a Stinkweed song starts playing.
Yes.
So here's my thing. We know that Stinkweed 10 just came out.
Yeah.
So it's likely that Stinkweed's soundtrack is playing on the radio.
Oh, so they're like selling it in the store.
Yeah, so I'm assuming like when he pressed play, because the whole song is all about Stinkweed.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking that is from the movie.
Okay. I mean, most of the chase scene musics in this series actually do revolve around the villain, but I like that theory for this one.
Yeah, because he is a
well-known
monster,
character. Yeah, he's not like an isolated incident.
Yeah, and it's not like this isn't like an old movie or whatever, like, oh yeah, this old movie theater character, like a comic book character like we've seen in the past. It's like a movie that just came out, and most of the time they release the music on the soundtrack and stuff, and like, why wouldn't the mall that's playing the movie also be selling the soundtrack somewhere?
Yeah. After the whole chase scene, they manage to get away from Stinkweed, and this is when Velma begins to formulate a plan for their trap. I made a note that, again, Velma's making the trap in this episode like she did in the last Pup Named Scooby-Doo episode, and I think it's weird that it's Velma's responsibility in the group now to make the traps as opposed to Fred.
It's because Fred is so concerned about becoming a news reporter.
But what about the last episode? Because he didn't make the trap in that episode either.
Well, I think, like, when they were younger, like, they switched roles a little bit. Like, because Fred wants to be a news reporter, Daphne wants to be a movie star, and so Velma makes the traps and comes up with the plans and does all that. And as they get older, their perspectives shift a little bit.
Their plan is to trap Stinkweed while pretending to be a movie set. So Fred becomes a director, a pretend director, and he leads Stinkweed onto the movie set. And I noted that Velma walks past Stinkweed and Fred with a watering can, and she waters Stinkweed's body, and it grows flowers.
And, like, all these flowers grow up, like, his side
instantly,
back.
too.
Yeah.
My thing is just, like, this is not a costume made out of real plants. Why are there flowers growing out of your body?
But why? Because then they, like, literally just walk over to the next scene and the flowers are gone. And I was like...
There was no fucking point for that.
What was the need?
In the scene that they're in on the set, Daphne and Shaggy, they're like in a dungeon and they're chained to the wall. Why did they choose Daphne and Shaggy? I don't know, because we've already seen their acting skills and they're terrible.
They are not up to par for this role.
They begin filming, and Shaggy's just like, oh, it's Sergeant Scooby. He's here to save us. Scooby bursts in a little costume. He's like a superhero. And I think Shaggy like made a comment about like, you can't win at Scooby's game or something like that. And it shows Stinkweed and Scooby playing checkers.
I don't understand how checkers works to begin with.
Works won, so I mean, good for him.
I think he cheated.
You think?
Well, because, like, when it ended, he had both red and black chips.
Isn't that how it works?
I
don't know anything about checkers.
I know that you, like, jump over and you collect the other person's chips, but I don't think you can collect your own.
I don't get it. I don't know. But then Fred says that it was a great job, he did fantastic, but it's not really what they're wanting. So they move on to another scene. In the new scene, Shaggy is in a quicksand pit. Daphne is standing outside just looking at Shaggy. And Fred says, Daphne, aren't you supposed to be in the quicksand by now?
And she goes, and ruin my outfit? Get serious.
I mean, I can't say I'm surprised by this, though, with this version of Daphne.
Yeah, no, she's very...
about her appearance and being clean, so I don't blame her. I mean, honestly, I probably wouldn't be in the quicksand either. So they begin filming again. Stinkweed begins to try and attack Shaggy, and Shaggy says, hooray, it's Scoob of the jungle. I am, like, saved.
Which, again, just shows how great Shaggy is at
acting. Right. And they try to, like, drop a cage on Stinkweed.
Yeah.
Scooby, like, cuts this rope that is holding it up above where Stinkweed is, but it misses Stinkweed. It lands, like, right next to him. And then he's like, fools, you can't trick Stinkweed. And it's like, they've been tricking you for the last, like, 5 minutes. What are you talking about?
They tricked you with the whole shoe gag. They tricked you with the whole set, like...
You are easily gullible.
Yeah.
And they do wind up trapping him with the quicksand. He gets stuck in the little pit. And they begin to review all of their suspects on this big TV screen that pops out of Velma's suitcase. The suitcase just has everything. It's like the Mystery Machine in Flim Flam's pockets, where it just has everything that they ever would need. They, like I said, they go through all the suspects. So they show Grady Lawrence, and they talk about, his motive of, being a jealous actor and wanting to, become Stinkweed in the next movie. They show Jane Thursday, and Shaggy's just like, I don't know. I mean, like, she's an FBI agent, but you never
really know?
Do we really know? Would she really help us?
Would she really do that for us?
Scooby accidentally turns on the Yogi Bear and Boo Boo show.
Which was really cute.
I liked it.
And then when they were like, no, Scooby, it's not time for that. And like Yogi and Boo Boo stopped what they were doing and turned towards the camera. And I was like, whoa.
Whoa, this is like 2 levels of the fourth wall breaking.
That's very meta, but okay.
The TV inside the TV broke the fourth wall, and thus I am offended.
No.
And then Fred brings up red herring.
Okay, my only thing here is...
I know exactly what you're going to say. I'm so scared.
Did Fred sneak into Red Herring's house and tape him while he was sleeping?
Red Herring is in his bed. He's cuddling his teddy bear. He's just sleeping, and he wakes up, and he's just like, what is this? So you can only assume that's what Fred did.
Yeah. I'm like, so they got Fred a camera for birthday, Christmas, whatever holiday it just was. And the first thing he did was break into Red Herring's house. Because all of this happened before they went to the mall. And Shaggy specifically said in the beginning, one of the first things Fred wanted to do with his new camera was make a movie.
Yeah.
So the first thing he did was break into Red Herring's house. The second thing he did
was come to the mall to do this movie. I love it.
Like, what? I don't know.
After they finish reviewing all of the suspects, Grady Lawrence and Jane Thursday come into the room, and they refute that they're Stinkweed, because Stinkweed's right there in the sand. And this is when Velma, because apparently she's thought about this entire time, turns out that she knew all along that it was Vincent Thorne.
And she, very politely does it, because she walks over, takes Vincent's hand, helps him out of the quicksand as she's explaining that this whole time she knew it was him.
This is really unlike her, because in her older years, she gets a little bit turned on by just ripping people's faces off.
Yeah. But, it almost makes it look like she's in on it. Because she's just so calm, and she, helps him out of the quicksand. Here, take my hand, friend. I would never touch a criminal like that.
Right. The reason why he was Stinkweed is because he no longer wants to make the Stinkweed movies. He hates Stinkweed. He doesn't want to be in these movies anymore. My thing is why do you keep re-signing the contracts?
That's my thing. Okay, so my thought is I want to know what his original contract looked like.
Yeah.
Because I know, if you sign on with Disney, you sign on for, 30 years. That's what the contract is. And that's why, so many Disney stars go crazy. Anyway, not about that. So I want to know if his initial contract was, a 10-movie plus contract.
That's a really, hopeful contract.
Right. Or, if that specific studio, because sometimes if you sign on with a studio, they own you for, 5 movies, and they can use you in whatever movies they want.
It's kind of like what they're doing with, Captain America and Iron Man and Marvel movies.
Yeah, so, they sign on with Marvel, not necessarily Captain America movie.
Yeah.
And so, technically, Marvel can use them in anything. So, I'm wondering if he signed on with the studio for 20 movies, thinking that he'd get a whole wrap of different ones.
But
and
it's just a ton of Stinkweed movies.
They were we're just going to keep playing this out.
Right. And while also making Stinkweed look bad by, doing the mall robberies, he's also making money on said robberies.
Yes.
So there's that motive as well. I like that the FBI agent just assumes that he's definitely going to get 10 to 20 years in prison.
She knows. I mean, I am going to say it depends on how much he robbed, but, you can't get an estimate off of it.
But hey, it must be high key because he's in the National Exaggerator, and they were right on this article.
Mm-hmm.
After Thorne is arrested and the whole mystery is solved, they're now hanging out in the mall and they're talking to Grady Lawrence. Fred tries to recruit him for his mall monster movie, but Grady's too busy. He's getting ready for an audition for a commercial for Mr. O'Greasy's Bucket o' Scooby Snacks. So it's the same concept as the Bucket o' Nachos, but instead he's filled with Scooby Snacks.
So I decided that Grady doesn't want to be famous. He is perfectly content just being a bucket.
But then why are you so jealous of Vincent Thorne and Stinkweed?
He just wants to be mad.
He just enjoys being in a grudge situation?
Yep.
I hate people like that.
Mm-hmm. Like, he's just like, my life is miserable and I want a reason to complain. So I'm just going to sit here and complain instead of do something about it.
So that was Lights, Camera, Monster. Shannon, what was your rating for this episode on the Scooby Snack-O-Meter?
I actually gave it a 6.
A 6, okay. Explain.
I like it. It was a good one. They had lots of clues, lots of different suspects, so it was good. I think it went on, like, there were just certain scenes that went on for, like, just a few minutes too long, and I found myself getting, like, a little bored.
You gotta remember it's a Pup Named Scooby-Doo. It's supposed to be a really gag-heavy version
and I
of
got
Scooby-Doo.
that, but, like, kids are much different nowadays than they were, like, back when we were growing up. So because I was thinking, like, kids nowadays could never get through this whole episode. They'd get bored. Like, they want results right now. But, like, kids, when we were growing up, actually would have enjoyed that. But it did go on, like, just a few seconds too long. And I was like, come on, like, let's move on. I don't care anymore. Like, I get it. These shoes. Haha.
Okay.
After all that, I did like it. I did like the episode.
I'm actually going to award the episode 7 Scooby Snacks myself.
Okay.
I found it to be a really enjoyable episode. I thought that was pretty funny. I like that there was, like, quite a few characters that all had different motives or potential motives to be Stinkweed. There was actually, like, reason behind thinking that some people were and some people weren't Stinkweed. And it was a nice, subversion with Vincent Thorne actually being the villain the entire time. I think that this episode executed it a lot better than the Captain Canine episode. You're like, with Jonathan Johnson, it just didn't make any sense.
No, it was just...
This episode, it does. There actually is a smart, strategic reason why Vincent is hiring this detective agency to help him out with this case. I thought the gags were funny. I like the little things that were kind of confirmed in the episode too, like there being 99 flavors of Scooby Snacks, and also that apparently Scooby is allergic to cattails.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it was a pretty funny episode.
I think it did. And I liked the extra stuff that we get, like the 99 flavors of Scooby Snacks, and like we find out that he's allergic to stuff. Like I love when they add little tidbits of that in there, because that's something like you don't necessarily care what Scooby's allergic to, but like now we know.
It's one of those useless fun facts.
Exactly.
But I also do like that the FBI agent wasn't fucking useless.
Yes. I also like that she mentioned her superiors, whereas like we never really hear about other FBI agents. When there's an FBI agent, they never talk about like, oh, let me go talk to my supervisor about this, or whatever. It's, hey, I'm an FBI agent, let me take it from here. And it's like, well, who are you? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, and they always pop up at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And them being an FBI agent doesn't impact the story at all.
No. Whereas like this one...
Yeah, she did kind of impact the story because at one point she was a suspect, and she actually has correct assumptions on who the villain really is. So she's actually doing a good job. So collectively, that Groovy Scoobcast awards Lights, Camera, Monster a 6.5 out of 10 on the Scooby Snack-O-Meter.
Yay!
So are you ready for another one of those useless Scooby-Doo fun facts that you love every week? Well, I think it's kind of cool that A Pup Named Scooby-Doo is the only animated Scooby-Doo cartoon series within the Scooby-Doo franchise where Frank Welker is not the voice of Fred.
Oh.
The voice actor for Fred in this series as a kid, his name was Carl Steven. And like I said, this is the only time that Fred was not voiced by Frank Welker. In the live action movies, it made sense that he wasn't Frank Welker because duh, but in any other Scooby-Doo animated entity, Frank is always the voice of Fred.
Well, how cute.
Indeed. So next week, we're going to be moving on to What's New Scooby-Doo. I love this series. Always excited to talk about it. Are you ready to randomize our next episode for this, Shannon?
Yes, I am.
Okay, here we go.
next week, we will be watching The San Fran Psycho.
I don't feel like I've seen this episode in a long time.
I don't actually know if I've seen it.
Well, here is the premise for us coming from Scoobypedia. The gang goes to the Grind Games in San Francisco to meet an old friend who is participating. However, they soon find out that the games are being terrorized by a former Alcatraz inmate, the San Fran Psycho.
Whoa.
So this is going to be the second time that we're dealing with a villain who has association with Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't seen it in years. I don't know anything about this episode now.
Well, we'll rediscover it together.
I guess so.
So we are so excited because Derek was scrolling through our Twitter and somebody had shared that they are going to go back and make an ending to the 13 Ghosts series.
To give you a little bit of background here, if you're not really familiar with the 13 Ghosts, something that not a lot of people realize is that by the end of the series, they never actually caught all 13 of the ghosts that were released from the Chest of Demons. They actually only caught 12 of them because the series ultimately got canceled before they were able to finish. So now, 33 years later, 34, because it's coming out in 2019, they're going to be coming out with the movie. The movie is going to be called Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost. It's all in the new style of Scooby-Doo, so evidently time has passed in the Scooby-Doo universe, but essentially what happens is the gang have gone into retirement because they accidentally imprisoned an innocent man for a crime they, investigated. So they went into retirement, and now they have to come back because Vincent Van Gogh has contacted Daphne, Scooby, and Shaggy because now the 13th Ghost, who has eluded them for years, has returned. They found him, and now they need to go and capture him in the Chest of Demons. I'm so excited about this.
I'm really excited, I'm ready.
You're ready?
I don't know. I mean, we're not even close to finishing it, but I want to know how it ends.
I just think that it's really cool that in the 50th year of the Scooby-Doo franchise, they're going to be doing really cool shit like this. They're closing this 33, 34-year-old plot hole.
Yeah.
With an awesome looking movie based on the trailer. We see the return of Flim Flam from the looks of it. I'm curious if they're going to bring back Scrappy at all.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Okay, the only reason I don't think so, but see, I don't know because, my thought was, because we already know if it's in the same style and the same genre and everything, the last time that they even mentioned Scrappy was in Mystery Incorporated and they were flat out we don't talk about him anymore.
But that's not the same canon.
Exactly. Because in Mystery Incorporated, they said that Flim Flam was doing time. And then in this movie, Flim Flam is clearly with them.
And Vincent Van Gogh is a different person in those universes, too.
Exactly. I am going to say I don't think they're going to bring back Scrappy, only because I genuinely think that, Scooby-Doo is done with Scrappy.
No, they're not.
No?
He's a character in the Scooby Apocalypse comics.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, movie-wise. I think that they might be done. Because, we haven't really seen him. They haven't really mentioned him. The last time that they mentioned him, like I said, they said, nah, we don't talk about him anymore.
I suspect that if anything, they'll maybe make a joke about him not being there.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
I think that they should say something, only because, we know that Fred and Velma were off at camp when the 13 Ghosts were going on.
Yes.
So I do think that they should mention why Scrappy isn't with them.
Because they're solving that plot hole about why Fred and Velma aren't there.
Exactly.
That'd be kind of lazy if they don't mention why Scrappy isn't. Because Scrappy was there for the entire series.
Exactly. So I think, if anything, Flim Flam should be hey, where's Scrappy? And they could be oh, he's I think that they could make a really funny comment. They could even just be he's no longer with us.
Or they can just pretend they don't know who he is or something
Scrappy,
like that.
Who? I just think his name does need to be brought up because I don't, just because of the movie trailer, I don't think that he's going to be in the movie, but he does need to be spoken of.
I think so. I think it's just because of the nature of this movie and what it's trying to accomplish, they can't leave any loose ends anymore about this.
Exactly.
If they don't solve it now, then it's just going to bug people for the rest of our lives. So if you guys want to talk to us about the episode we reviewed today, the episode we're reviewing next week, this new Scooby-Doo movie, or really anything Scooby-Doo related at all, you guys can contact us online. You can find us on Twitter at Groovy Scoobcast, or you can shoot us an email at thatgroovyscoopcast@gmail.com.
You can also find us on our website at www.thatgroovyscoobcast.com.
And with that, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of That Groovy Scoobcast.
Come back next week for a Scooby Snack filled time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.